Ladies and gentlemen, while the government believes that introducing a competency test will magically solve the problems in our political landscape, but imagine waking up one day to find that a person you believe has fought for your community and earned the community trust are blocked from running on political system because they failed to pass a single test and are no longer decided by the people, but rather by a standardized test designed without understanding the real problem. We believe that is not the case. We believe that this is not how democracy should work. We believe that democracy is the way people trust politicians, and it is what makes we, the opposition, are defending against. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Nathaniel Alexander Scanlon, standing here as the leader of the opposition, are opposing today's motion. This House would require political candidates to pass a political competency test in order to run for office. But first, before we begin, I would like to point out some key terms that the government have failed to define. Political candidates are individuals seeking for hold public office through democratic elections. Thus, a political competency test refers to a standardized examination used to assess candidates' understanding of political theory, system, or governance before they are allowed to be run for the office. This competency test is required for politicians to pass as political candidates. To require means to make it mandatory prerequisite. If politicians fail to pass the competency test, they are disqualified from candidacy. The burden on the government is to prove that such tests would solve the problem of political incompetence, that the benefits outweigh the democratic cost. The government claims that competency tests uphold the social contract, yet representative democracy is built on trust and accountability, not standardized exams. Tests cannot predict the integrity, empathy, or ability of someone to lead. As the opposition, we know how this motion attacks the wrong root cause against democratic fairness. We oppose this motion because competency cannot be reduced to a standardized test. It undermines the democratic process and ignores weak internal party system, not individual candidate knowledge. Many political parties, especially in our country, only become active during election seasons. According to national research, they tend to form mass parties with very loose membership system, no proper recruitment standards, and almost no long-term planning throughout the year. Most party offices don't even have structured agendas. Political parties should be organized groups whose members have forward-looking orientation for the nation and the state, share the same value and ideals, possess a vision, mission, and goals to obtain power in accordance in the existing constitution. So, even if we introduce a political test, the candidates will still come to the same weak system. We are putting a band-aid to a much deeper one. And so, moving to our first argument, we believe that adding a competency test undermines the meaning of the democracy. Democracy is based on the idea that people choose their leaders, not based on the test results. Implementing a mandatory test puts an unelected gatekeeper in charge of deciding who gets to represent the people. This sets a dangerous precedent where technical qualifications are prioritized over life experience, grassroots activism, or moral leadership. Selecting leaders based on test results risk of producing technocrats who lack human connection and responsiveness to constituents. For example, someone like Nelson Mandela, who have not had conventional political education at one time, could have been blocked from running due to failing a politically biased test. This creates slippery slope. Who designs the test? Who decides what knowledge is valid? Politics is not just about knowing the law, and those things cannot be qualified by a single test. And second, we believe that the problem of all of this is not because the individual candidates, but rather the political parties. The government claims that incompetence is in politics is due to individual ignorance, but the truth is parties fail to develop strong and prepared candidates in the first place. Most political parties only becomes active before election and thus have a weak internal recruitment system, loose membership, and lack of long-term planning. This, of course, could lead to unqualified candidates. If we want to solve the problem of unqualified leaders, the solution is political party reform, not filtering candidates after they emerge. Lastly, we believe that having competency tests is putting risk of excluding valuable candidates from marginalized groups. Standardized tests tend to reflect the biases of their creators. Candidates from unprivileged backgrounds could have lacked formal education but possess real-world political skills, community experience, and leadership ability. Ladies and gentlemen, the heart of democracy lies on what people choose, not on what a test is. What we've shown you today is that this motion is not misguided in targeting the wrong problem, but is also dangerous in the long run. The incompetence we see in politics does not stem from a lack of individual knowledge, but from the systemic weakness of quality. Competency in leadership can be measured in multiple choices. Politicians who trust through many activisms and community service could be unable to be candidates simply because they do not meet a test's narrow definition of competency. Leadership requires empathy, adaptability, and the ability to inspire, not just theoretical knowledge. And we do not want a system that favors only technocrats, but one that reflects the will, the diversity, and the dreams of people. Therefore, we, on the opposition, are very proud and strongly oppose this motion. Thank you very much.